Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This is an open meeting of the Seward, Nebraska governing body. The city of Seward abides by the Nebraska Open Meetings Act and conducting business. A copy of the Nebraska Open Meetings Act is displayed on the north wall of this meeting room facility as required. Disclosure of meeting recording processes is posted in the meeting room. A participant sign-in sheet is available for use by any citizen addressing the council. Presenters shall approach the podium, state their name and address for the clerk's record, and are asked to limit remarks to 5 minutes. All remarks shall be directed to the mayor, who shall determine by whom any appropriate response shall be made. The city of Seward reserves the right to adjust the order of items on this agenda if necessary, and may elect to take action on any of the items listed. Please call the roll.
Wilkin.
Here.
Beck. Here. Camper.
Here.
Fritz.
Here.
Pike.
Here.
Singleton. Schmidt.
Here.
Hens.
Here.
First item this evening is a consideration of approval of draft minutes of July 21st, 2015.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please register your votes. Please display the votes.
Voting in favor, Wilkin. Beck. Camper. Fritz. Pike. Singleton. Schmidt. Hens. Motion carries.
Item number 2 is consideration of consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please register your votes. Please display the votes.
Voting in favor of the motion, Wilkin. Beck. Camper. Fritz. Pike. Singleton. Schmidt. Hens. Motion carries.
Item number 3, this is the confirmation of mayor's appointments. Item 3A is the Civic Center Commission, which is a reappointment of Betty Jean Coulterman. The appointment of Juanita Goings to replace Gerald Ratchey. Item 3B is the Electricians Board, which is the reappointment of Corey Mueller, the appointment of Mike Langer to replace Donald Bach, and the reappointment of Ed Gonzalez and Larry Ruther. Item 3C is the LBA 40 Sales Tax Application Review Board for Economic Development. This is the appointment of Jessica Coulterman to replace Gary Fett. I'd like to take these up, starting with item 3A.
Move approval.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please register your votes. Please display the votes.
Voting in favor, Wilkin. Beck. Camper. Fritz. Pike. Singleton. Schmidt. Hens. Motion carries.
Item 3B, the Electricians Board.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please register your votes. Please display the votes. Vote. Please display the votes.
Voting in favor of the motion, Wilkin. Beck. Camper. Fritz. Pike. Singleton. Schmidt. Hens. Motion carries.
Item 3C, this is the LB 840 Sales Tax Application Review Board.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
I just have a question. I know that Jessica has a consulting firm that she owns, right? And I didn't know,
I think she mentioned it when she spoke that, I don't know the name of it, maybe JK.
I don't know anything about what she does, but I was just curious if she'd ever be in a position of, conflict of interest in that. I don't know what her consulting firm does.
Well, the only issues, I think that it says in statute, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you just can't be a recipient of LB $40, and that's sort of the big issue. So that does make it a little bit tricky if people think that they might apply for it or if they have applied for it. As far as consulting, I would assume if she had a client, and I don't know if it would be applicable, but if had a client who was applying for LB 40, she could recuse herself in those instances. But I don't think it would be an automatic concern.
Okay,
Is
thanks.
that
I think that's true.
okay? Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, please register your votes. Please display the votes.
Voting in favor of the motion, Wilkin. Beck. Camper. Fritz. Pike. Singleton. Schmidt. Hens. Motion carries.
Alright, thank you. Item number 4, consideration of approval of Kayla Eisenmenger as manager of Veterans VFW Post 4755, 243 South 9th Street, Class C liquor license. This is a requirement in state law that managers be approved locally.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please register your votes. Please display the votes.
Voting in favor of the motion, Wilkin. Beck. Camper. Phillips Pike, Seward, Hand Pushing Green.
Alright, item 5, consideration of supplemental agreement number 2 with Schemmer Associates for Nebraska Department of Roads Seward Trail Project for preliminary engineering. John Hughes, would you like to present? And then there's a resolution here.
This is a supplemental agreement. Originally, we had planned on putting the trail behind Harvest Hall and along the river and coming around to the back side of the grandstands. However, it became readily apparent that during times of the fair, it would interfere with the operation of the trail, which is kind of a no-no with federal funds. And the federal funds said that the trail has to be open at 360, 24 hours. So bearing that in mind, there was a couple of ways we could have done it. One would have been to jump the river and go into Centennial Park, and then jump Centennial Park and go into Prohaska's Field, but it would have meant the addition of 2 bridges, which would have escalated the cost dramatically. So, as an alternate, we prepared an alternate route, which would be just to the west of the levee and east of the pond. And it will run along there, make that jump across the road and hug the Fairgrounds Road up until we hit the crossing. And the rail crossing has now been moved from the north side of the tracks to the south side of the tracks. Burlington would not let us go to the north side. I think that's beneficial for everybody. Long story short, we reduced the length of the trail by a little bit, but we do have an aligned trail now, and I believe the next step will be to go out and negotiate property with the owners.
Any questions for John?
I'll introduce the resolution.
Alright. The resolution has been introduced and is designated as resolution number 2015-20. Would anyone like to move that this resolution be passed and adopted?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please register your votes. Please display the votes.
Emma Welkenbeck, Campbell Phillips Pike, Seward, Hand Pushing Green.
Thanks, John. Item number 6, consideration of approving the updated Seward urban area map for the Nebraska Department of Roads and the U.S. Department of Transportation. You're up again.
Again, here we are. You know, we have, from the NDOR's always updated a map that kind of give us traffic counts and whatever. For some strange reason, I think it has to do with the MAP 21 payment schedule that's brought about by the Federal Highway Administration. This time it has to be approved by City Council. And identifies urban areas and identifies all the properties within the city limits and everything but actually the 2-mile jurisdiction. So I had Mr. Gonzalez make the appropriate changes to the map, and it's ready for approval by the council.
Any questions for John on this item? Yes, Sid?
John, it's quite likely I could have been gone from this meeting, but the area, like to the east end of the proposed rail campus, it looks like that, would that be that 30 acres that we bought from Brigham's?
Brigham, that is in the city.
Did that get annexed? That did.
That's been in the city limits for a long time.
Oh, before that, okay.
Yeah.
Then just the other question I had is over there on East Seward Road, and I've asked you this before, but is there at some point gonna be, I know the owner out there, Dave,
Dave Jones.
is eventually gonna develop that? Is there a plan of annexing that little section?
Well, I'll tell you what is
Right
happening.
along that East Seward Street or whatever that is?
About 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, I had Allied Surveying go out and survey off a chunk. So basically, we get my directions right, it would be to the east of the Mormon church, going all the way down to, as the lake turns south, to go back, to break that up into 100-foot depth lots and whatever. And he just said, at that time I talked to Dave, and he says, you know, if you need lots, we can develop them, whatever. If you don't, he said, I just like to keep it where they are. Well, we're at that point now where we do need those lots. This doesn't have anything to do with that particular
I understand
property.
that. I was
However,
just, I saw.
in answer to your question,
Yeah.
that's what we're gonna be doing.
Okay, good.
And I'm highly likely that'll be the next subdivision.
Great.
I know that Webb is talking to him about it right now.
Chris?
John, do you have that map in front of you?
I don't.
Here's a copy.
Here. I have it. I just have a question, unless I missed it when I was reading this. There's a red circle on here out there on the, by Isaac Walton.
Right.
What's the significance? What are we trying
Okay, if
to,
you
what are
look
we
at
trying to point? Is that a change, or what
That
are we
is a
pointing out
change.
there?
At one point in time, it's been about 5-6 years ago, that section was out, we had city limits, and then that portion of the highway was out of the city limits, and it got back into the city limits right about where you turn into Tenneco. So we brought that in for annexation, and we annexed that part in, and so that circle designates the effective change that they need to put onto their map.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions for Joan? Otherwise, entertain a motion to approve the updated map.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please register your vote. Please display the votes.
Voting in favor, motion Wolfenbeck, Kemper, Fritz, Pike, Singleton, Schmidt, Hands, motion carried.
Thanks, John. Item 7, presentation of Seward County Economic Development Corporation, SCDC, annual report and annual funding request. This item does not have any action attached to it. It's merely for informational purposes and to give Jonathan an opportunity to come before the council and update you on what's going on as we head into the budgetary process. Thank you.
I'm just gonna start passing these. Everybody gets one.
I guess in the past, we have approved the report, so when I said there was no action, I guess that wasn't entirely true. Apparently there has been action, so I'll leave that to the council to decide if they want to basically accept the report from Johnson Economic.
Jonathan Jenks with Seward County Economic Development. Thanks for the opportunity to speak with you tonight. I also have with me our board treasurer, Dave Cum, from Concordia University, and he'll speak just a little bit later during the presentation. This is an opportunity to say thank you to the City Council for your investment in economic development. It's critical to have the City of Seward as a part of our countywide economic development effort, and so we're grateful for that. We appreciate not just the investment, but the participation on our board of directors. The mayor and Councilman Hands have been very active on our board, and we're very grateful for their dedication to time to help move our economic development efforts forward. I want to briefly review our public sector funding agreement, the funding disbursement agreement. I put one per person, or per every other person to go through. I think it's important that we do at least look at that once a year to make sure that we're abiding by the agreement, the formal agreement that we have with the city. And so I'll kind of briefly walk through those points, and so you can analyze it along with me. So our agreement is signed from October 1 to September 30th. If you remember, though, our fiscal year is different. Our fiscal year is July 1 to June 30, and that will come up a little bit later. That the city's annual investment is $40,000 in Seward County Economic Development, and that's for the fiscal year 2014-15. And then it has to be spent towards operations of economic development and according to Nebraska state statute. If you go to the third page, you can see what that Nebraska state statute is. We're cognizant of that, and we make sure, as it goes into the next point, that the public sector funds have been segregated into a separate bank account. And a part of that process to ensure that that occurs is an annual audit that takes place to ensure that there's no funds that are being, any public dollars that are being spent for things other than what are allowed through Nebraska state statute. And so that's an important thing that we want to review, and we do review through our annual audit. And then every month it's analyzed by our board of directors through our monthly financials. There was an annual audit conducted within 60 days of June 30th, and Dave can talk about that here in a little bit. Usually there's a small report that goes out that'll have to be approved by our board of directors before it goes out to ensure that that's taken place. And we'd obviously like you to consider renewing your support for economic development into a new funding agreement for this current fiscal year as it comes up to your budgetary time. And so I think it's important that you see the document that's in front of you. That's changed in different ways throughout the last few fiscal years, and so I encourage you to look at that and consider it for the next fiscal year. And even though it wasn't in your funding disbursement requirements, to help you continue to build confidence in our organization, We did conduct a strategic plan as well as a annual membership, private membership campaign where we've been pursuing growing our private sector memberships. And then also the chairperson and vice chairperson annually review my performance through economic development, and they're in currently looking to renew my agreement. It was a 3-year agreement, and so they've kind of extended it until I believe at our next board meeting it'll be up for consideration to renew that for another 3 years. And then, like I said before, we're very grateful for the participation of Councilman Hands and Mayor Eichmeyer on our board of directors. It's really critical that we have that city participation, as you know, the city is a huge economic driver within the county, and so we're grateful for that participation. I'd like to have Dave come up here real briefly and talk about his role on the Economic Development Board of Directors, and he'll also talk about maybe some of the progress that he's seen within our organization. So Dave.
Good evening, I'm Dave Cumm, I live here in Seward, and I am the treasurer for Seward County Economic Development, and so one, I guess, the first items, Jonathan had mentioned that we do an annual audit of the financials, and actually that audit was done today. I went to Milford to review the transactions, the reports, bank reconciliations, and combed through it in 2 different directions. I reviewed it from a standpoint of these are the transactions I want to look at, but then the information was put together well, so I just actually flipped through the files to just take a look at the various transactions that took place, and interestingly enough, I did find 1 beer in those receipts, but I was able to trace it, so it doesn't come out of the public funds. So just so you know, we're watching that and keeping our eyes on that. So anyway, I'll be writing my report here in the next day or 2, and I'll be submitting that to the SCDC board at our next meeting. So I just wanted to give you an update on that has taken place. In regards to being on the board, I joined the board about the same time Jonathan actually came on here in Seward, and it's been interesting to watch the growth and the development that has taken place on the Seward County Economic Development. The amount of organization and structure that has been put in place since the day I joined, and it just seems like it gets more set up on a regular basis. We've established committees that are focused on particular items, and we're going to do some more focus on policies and procedures and guidelines from an operational standpoint, and I'll be leading some of that process as we move forward. But for Concordia University, being a part of Seward County Economic Development is very important. I'm sure you realize we probably play a key part in the economic development here in Seward. Just this summer, I would say we have probably hired about 20 to 25 new people that will be working on our campus here in Seward, coming from all parts of the country. And so it is important for us to see Seward County grow and to see Seward County prosper, and to be a part of that process. In a few weeks, we'll be welcoming probably over 1,200 students, one of our largest traditional undergraduate populations. So Seward will be alive with young people, be it good or bad, but it's exciting to see that and to really be a part of it. And you know, President Friedrich always says what's good for Seward is good for Concordia, and what's good for Concordia is good for Seward. And we really truly believe that, and feel very, very blessed that we get to be a part of the Seward County Economic Development, and knowing what's going on, and being a part of helping to develop the future of Seward County. Any questions you have for me before I sit down?
Any questions from the council? Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Any questions for Jonathan? Anything else, Jonathan?
Yeah, I'll just quickly finish up. The documents in front of you, the annual report is not a complete annual report. I will send that out. We have some articles that we want to add to that, but we would just wanted to give you kind of a brief overview of some of the things that we've been working on. And then also the other document that's there, the City of Seward Playbook. We really have the fortunate opportunity to promote the city of Seward all over the country when I travel for trade shows and to promote this area. There's a lot to be proud of here within this community, and for us, we like to highlight those projects. And so whenever people come here, after kind of promoting the area, they come for site visits. We like to have documents like that we put together that can highlight all the positive things that are taking place from an economic development standpoint within the city of Seward. And so I wanted to show you just kind of two brief examples of things that we do to help promote the area. And then through the annual report, you can see the numbers. I think it's something to be excited about, to see the growth that's taking place. I think I had a quote on my last annual report that says, our job is not to create the jobs, but it's to help create the environment that's conducive to growth. And that's how I really feel throughout Seward County Economic Development, that we're helping support wonderful existing businesses within the county, and then to help to try to strategically identify some businesses that may be good recruitment options for our community moving forward. And so I encourage you to leaf through those documents, and always can follow up with me. I think you've seen through my reports that I'm more than willing to answer questions as they come up. Want to be accessible. Again, we appreciate the participation of the city of Seward within our organization, and would ask, as you're considering for your next budgetary year, as we recently approved for our current fiscal year, we've kept our public sector members through our budget at the same amount that they were the last fiscal year. We asked for a raise last year, so we thought it was appropriate to ask for the same amount with no increase for this current fiscal year. And so as you go through your budgetary process, we would appreciate your consideration for funding support. And like I said, if there are any questions that come up in the meantime, please feel free to reach out and ask.
Thanks, Jonathan. Any other questions? That's it?
Jonathan, I know you said this is a kind of an abbreviated report. I see the new homes and the building permits. Is there any way that you can correlate the economic development efforts relating to actually bringing in new businesses and then consequently new jobs?
Right. What other economic development organizations have done in the past is when they have meetings with existing businesses, they can get those numbers as in what kind of new jobs have been created, what sort of new businesses have been created. If you want kind of a more comprehensive analysis, that's something that we could work on. Through my visits that I have, I'm always asking existing businesses, what sort of growth have you seen over the last fiscal year? And so that's just a part of the process of interviewing those companies.
Well, I'm mainly talking about new businesses. You know, existing businesses is great if they grow. That's what the whole idea is. But new businesses that have come into Seward in 2014, /2015, and then the amount of new jobs, basically.
Right.
And my vision of economic growth might be limited, but when I think of that, I think of new businesses, new employees, and then that filters into new homes, new spending, all that stuff.
Right.
So will that be a part of your bigger report?
I could put something together that would analyze, just looking here within the area, I'd have to query and, talk with, because I'm not gonna see absolutely every business that starts. It's not like we're a clearinghouse necessarily to say that, every new business has to come through economic
Well, that would be just what your organization was directly involved with, is what I'm looking at.
Okay.
Yeah, not in general, because I know people in town that have come here and started businesses.
Sure.
What Seward Area Economic Development is directly responsible,
Sure.
if it's possible.
Yeah, I can work on that. Sure.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes,
Just a comment, just wanted to acknowledge the efforts that Jonathan puts in and, express my support and work constantly. I think there should be two of you, your efforts are appreciated by myself. I know that you're working hard and have the best interests of the city and county in mind, and, just wanted to express my support.
Thanks.
any other questions or comments from the council? Otherwise, I entertain a motion to accept Jonathan's report.
So moved.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please register your votes. Please display the votes.
All in favor, welcome back, Catholic Fitz Pike to the motion carried, motion carried.
Thanks.
Thanks.
All right, thanks. That would be item number 7. Item number 8, the city administrator's report. Bruce?
Well, I
put a report in your packet. If you have any questions on it, I'd answer those for you, so we can talk about that. There is one thing I'd like to ask. The budget timeline I sent out, we had workshops with council next week, the 11th and 12th, or the 11th and 13th. I'm gonna be moving the end of next week, full-time. Family's coming here, my wife and all our furniture, so I'd like to change that 13th to the 12th if that's possible. And I'd kinda like to know who all was planning on coming. I know Chris had said the 11th was when you would be able to come, and,
I can make either day.
okay. So if you have a day in mind, let us know.
Either day or either one for me.
What time was that, Bruce?
Well, we thought we'd do it at 5, here at the municipal building. That way everybody get off work if you're working. So just let us know, so we can get that, put together, so we know we don't have too many.
It's a Tuesday and a Wednesday.
Tuesday and a Wednesday, yeah.
Tuesday.
Okay, I can do Wednesday, is that okay?
Thank you.
Tuesday if you don't have me down.
Okay.
How many got for Tuesday?
I have 2 on Tuesday, 1 on Wednesday.
I'll be on Tuesday.
Wednesdays are
Wednesdays will be good for me.
So I just need, let's see,
Tuesday is
3
fine.
and
Night.
3.
I'm gonna have to do some checking
Check.
here, yeah.
Fill me in wherever
Just-
you want.
And Bonnie will let us know where we're gonna be when, right?
So,
Please.
Barb and John, or if it's okay, when you find out your schedule, and then you said either day works, so.
I believe, Bruce is gonna be, at 5 o'clock here.
Yeah, 5 o'clock here at the municipal building.
Okay.
Thank you. Any questions?
Unless there's any questions, I entertain the motion to accept the report.
So moved.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, please register your votes.
In favor of looking at campus goods, Pike, Village, Good Hands, motion carried.
Alright, 9, future requests for council agenda items or administrative action. Seeing none, we'll move to number 10. This is announcement of upcoming events. I don't have any. Does anyone on the council have anything they wanna make us all aware of? If not, then I will move on to nothing. Okay. Number 11, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Please register your votes. Please display the votes.
In favor of looking at campus goods, Pike, Village, Good Hands, motion carried.
Thank you.